Shabbat Shalom, coming at you again from Turkey in the Middle East. All right, surrounded by, what we surrounded by? Bulgaria, the Mediterranean Sea, Syria, Iran, Iraq, Armenia, Georgia, South Georgia, used to be part of Georgia, and the Black Sea, too. We're going to start the Torah reading. We're going to jump right into it. This week's Torah portion is Beshalach, and it starts on Exodus chapter 13, verse 17. So, Amaya, you can come up and read for us. Exodus chapter 13, verse 17. This is Amaya Ban Parazah over back here. All right. Actually, let me scoot over so you can have a little more space. You can scoot over a little bit more. All right, go ahead, start the reading.
And it came to pass, when Pharaoh had let the people go, the Elohim led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For Elohim said, lest peradventure the people repent when they see war, and return to Egypt. But Elohim led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea. And the children of Yashala went up, harnessed out of the land of Egypt.
So the Most High didn't want them going the short way, because the short way would have made them lose heart. So he took them around a long way. All right? He took them around a long way so that they would not be disheartened. So there's no shortcuts. Sometimes the Most High had them go the long way. Go ahead.
And Mashah took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Yashala, saying, Elohim will surely visit you, and ye shall carry my bones away hence with you. And they took their journey from Succoth, and encamped in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day in a pillar of cloud, to lead them by the way, and by night in a pillar of fire.
So a pillar of cloud in the day, and then at night, the Most High led them through with fire. All right, at night it was with fire, and in the day it was with a cloud. Right, to be like a sign unto them. All right, a guide. All right, go ahead.
To give them light to go by day and night.
Right.
He took not away the pillar of cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night, from before the people.
Okay.
Kal Shirah,
Kalashara,
Bar Yahweh,
Debar Yahweh,
Naisha,
Naisha,
Nashmai.
Nashemai.
All that Yahweh said,
All that Yahweh said,
we do in here.
we do in here.
And Yahweh spake unto Mashah.
All right, so we're in Exodus chapter 15 now. All right, so Yahweh's talking to Moses again. What did he say to him? Go ahead.
Speaking to the children of Yashala, that they turn and encamp before Pi-Haroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-Zephon. Before it ye shall encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Yashala, they are entangled in the land, and the wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his lost, that the Egyptians may know that I am Yahweh, I am Yahweh. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people, and they said, why have we done this, that we have let Yashala go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot, and took people with him, and he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Yashala, and the children of Yashala went out with a high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them, encamping by the sea, beside Pi-Hahiroth, before Baal-Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Yashala lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Yashala cried out unto Yahweh. And they said unto Mashah, because there were no grapes in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness?
So they cried out to the Most High, but their heart wasn't right when they cried to the Most High. They still blaming people for what's going on instead of trusting in the Most High in the midst of that trouble. They started saying Yahweh, like he did something wrong to them. And then they start fussing at Moses, but who they really fussing at is Yahweh. They're not fussing at the Moses because Moses didn't do anything. He didn't bring the Egyptians. He didn't open the sea. He didn't make the plagues come. Yahweh used Moses and Aaron to do these things. So they getting upset with Moses, but they really disrespecting the Most High. Okay, go ahead.
Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word of you that we did tell in thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the wilderness.
They would have rather been slaves under the Egypt eating good than to be, than to not be eating good in freedom. Because in freedom, you always got the capacity to do better. In captivity, you can only go but so high. So you always want to be free. You always want your own. No matter what you got from somebody else, it's still somebody else's. So you always want your own. You always want to be able to do your own operations the way you and your people choose to do them. But when you in slavery captivity under Pharaoh, they controlling where they're going, where they're coming. So don't complain about how bad you have it once you start to wake up to this truth. Because you could have it very good in ignorance and darkness and then be going straight unto eternal destruction from the Most High. Remember Cypher in the Matrix. Go ahead.
And Mashah said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will shew to you this day today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. Yahweh shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And Yahweh said unto Mashah, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Yashala, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Yashala shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have gotten my honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of Allah, which went before the camp of Yashala, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of cloud went before their face, and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Yashala, and it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that one came not near to the other all the night. And Mashah stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea land dry, and the waters were divided. And the children of Yashala went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them, on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued, and went in after them into the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen.
Now when they went through the sea, you can read in the Apocrypha, the ground became grass. Everything was growing as they walked through. So it's like they're walking through a path that nobody had ever walked on before. Nice, soft grass, and it was dry. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that in the morning watch Yahweh looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Yashala.
The Most High knocked the wheels off. Go ahead.
For Yahweh,
Then they want to run. Go ahead.
For Yahweh fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And Yahweh said unto Mashah, stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Mashah stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returneth to its strength when the morning appeared. And the Egyptians fled against it, and Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots, and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. there remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Yashala walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left.
So they wanted to come through the river or through the sea of reeds, but they tried to run out. And when they tried to run out, the Most High had made it so that they couldn't get out. They couldn't get out. Once they would start chasing children of Yasharallah, they wanted to escape. Now they see the Most High judgment coming on. And Most High didn't let them escape. Most High killed all of them, drowned them all to death. And his own people didn't believe he was even going to do that. So Most High is always going to come through for those that do his will, for those that operate in righteousness. And if you don't get deliverance from the physical event, know that the ultimate destruction the Most High is going to spare you of. Go ahead.
Thus Yahweh saved Yashala that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Yashala saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore, and Yashala saw the great work which Yahweh did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared Yahweh and believed Yahweh.
So now they believe. So the Most High, he has to perform something for people to start believing in him. And in this captivity that we in now across the world, we haven't seen the power of the Most High too much. But we still trust and believe in him. But we're going to believe in him even more when we start seeing his miracles and his power that he pours out on the planet Earth. And through wisdom, operating in wisdom and using the 7 pillars of wisdom and walking in the Proverbs and walking in the counsel of Yahweh and praying that those Proverbs take root in our lives and perform the things that they're supposed to perform, the Most High will make himself known through us. Go ahead.
And his servant Mashah, Kal Shara, Debar Yahweh, Naishah, Menashemai. All Yahweh said.
All that Yahweh said.
What are we doing here?
We're doing here. That's all of chapter 14, right? All right, Ariasan, come read 15. Come on. Ariasan ban Parazah ban Yasharala ban Gad.
Exodus chapter 15, verse 1. Then sang Mashah and the children of Yasharala this song unto Yahweh.
Right, so this is a song that we made to the Most High, all right, over the event that he did. All right, go ahead.
And spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. Yahweh is my strength and song. And
so that's what I was telling y'all, like, this is the Middle East, man. Things are very different over here, all right? There's a lot of war in this place, but it's calm when it's calm and calm. So when they saw this water, like, oh yeah, the Most High, he killed them people. He killed the horse and the driver. They were happy about it. Wasn't nobody mourning, oh, poor little horsies. All of the horses got drowned. Oh, the driver, what about his family and his wife and his daughter? She just got her first tooth in. Nobody wasn't worried about that, man. Nobody was worried about that. We made a song about it. Most High, go ahead, keep reading, we'll see.
And he has become my salvation. He is my Elohim, and I will prepare him an habitation. My father's Elohim, and I will exalt him. Yahweh is a man of war.
Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh kills. Yahweh is a warrior. He sheds blood. It's only through the grace of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the son of Yahweh, that we don't get the full extent of the Most High's wrath. So don't worry about the white man. Don't worry about the Chinese. Don't worry about the Africans, the Arabs that have done evil toward our people. All right? Don't worry about that. The Most High is a man of war. In Hebrew it says, Ayash Malchama. Yahweh Shamwa. Yahweh Ayash Malchama. Yahweh Shamwa. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. So sometimes you need to pray. So it wasn't Mars. All right? It wasn't Mars. Yahweh is the God of war. Yahweh is the God of all things. Yahweh, he is. So he's a man of war. He brings death, destruction upon the enemies of his people. Because once that spirit of evil gets in somebody, sometimes it can't be recovered back into a soul of righteousness, man. So you gotta just let that person be destroyed. Most High just destroy their spirit. All right, go ahead.
Yahweh is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea.
Right.
His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, is become glorious in thy power. Thy right hand, O Yahweh, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of thine excellency.
Dashed in pieces the enemies. So enemies of the Most High, and get dashed to pieces. All right. That's it. All of our enemies, they can get dashed to pieces, man. So we live in a peaceful time in terms of peaceful because nothing being done against our enemies. They can fight amongst themselves, whatever. But for us, it's like the Most High is just letting everything slide and go. But swiftly and speedily will the Most High execute judgment upon the adversaries of Yasharallah when the time comes. But when that time comes, the Most High is going to start bringing judgment against his people too. You see? So you don't want that. You don't want him to be judging all your enemies, then you getting away scot-free, because that ain't fair. That ain't fair. That's like you a child and a person keep coming to beat you up, and you beat up your brothers and sisters. Then you say, man, go beat up, can you go tell my neighbors, go get my neighbor, because the neighbor keep hitting on me, neighbor keep getting hit. Well, is it time for you to get punished too, or do you want to learn how to treat your family first? So you get beat up at home, and then your family go on the street and get beat up too. So first you got to learn how to treat each other with love and respect and kindness and the laws of the Most High under Yahweh Shah. Then the Most High can deal with your adversaries and enemies. Because you're doing the same thing to each other that the world is doing. Disrespecting each other, defaming each other, slandering each other, hurting each other. Same thing the nations are doing to you, you're doing to yourself. So you don't want the Most High to bring that judgment upon your adversaries right now, because our people have made themselves our own adversaries. Go ahead.
Thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee.
Mm-hmm.
Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble.
Mm-hmm.
And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, and I will overtake. I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them.
Yeah, they thought they were going to just come run up on Israel and just steal from us. And the Most High was going to let it happen. Go ahead.
I will draw my sword. My hand shall destroy them. Thou didst blow with thy wind. The sea covered them. They sink as lead in the mighty waters.
The Most High. And the water went back and just covered everybody. And they sunk in the water like a piece of lead. Open that. Like a piece of lead. All right. Go ahead.
Who is like unto thee, O Yahweh, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestina. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men.
Like the Dukes of Hazzard. The Dukes of Edom are going to be amazed at the judgment and power of the Most High. Okay, go ahead.
The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall
Moab dealing with them Chinese. The Chinese army is nothing against the Most High. Moab is also South Korea and North Korea. There's nothing against the Most High. Burma, all right, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, nothing against the Most High. China, biggest country, one of the largest standing armies in the world, nothing against the Most High. Edom, so-called white man. All around the globe, he controls the power structures and governments and kingdoms, nothing against the Most High. They're going to be confounded. The Most High going to destroy all of our adversaries. Don't worry about nothing. You just keep the commandments. Don't worry about the governments, the wickedness they're trying to do against our people. Pray that the Most High stop that and don't let it come upon you. Because it's going to happen because it's prophesied. But pray that those things don't happen to you and yours. So you got to be aware of what's going on and know how to avoid it. Read.
The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thine arm they shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over, O Yahweh, till the people pass over which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in, and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Yahweh, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Yahweh, which thy hands have established.
So that's going into the whole Mount of Olives, Mount Moriah, Mount Zion, that whole area in Jerusalem. All right? South of Jericho, north of what? Bethlehem. All that right, that's the Most High's glorious land. That's the place that he is middle of the Dead Sea by Tel Arad. That's not the truth. A lot of people have done research and come up with wrong answers. You know how many researches people have done that say you, and you, all of us. That every person in this room was a monkey. You know that? The white man had research that everybody in the world that's black, brown skin, came from an animal. It's a lie. So just because you have research to prove something and can convince other people, that doesn't make Tel Arad the real Jerusalem. Jerusalem is where it's been at for thousands of years. I want to see where's the caves of Adullam, where David ran to. Where's Gath, where David ran to? Philistine territory, the Gath where David ran to. All right? Where is Jericho? Where is Bethlehem? Where is Bethany? Yes, so these are all things that are in the same vicinity of Jerusalem, and it's not just Jerusalem. Everything has to fit, distance-wise. You should be able to walk from, go from where you say Jerusalem is, or the temple area is, and you should be able to go 1,000, 2,000 feet and be at Mount Zion, because Mount Zion was a Sabbath day's journey when they were at the temple area in the Bible, right? The Sabbath day's journey. That's what Matthew 24, right? You don't know, do you? Read your Bible, boy. Don't answer that on camera, please. Don't answer that. All right, so when you read Matthew 24, they tell you that they went to the Mount of Olives. And when you read other scriptures, they tell you that the Mount of Olives was a Sabbath day. It was a Sabbath day's journey when you were dealing with the Mount of Olives and going up from there. I don't have the verse right now, but just look it up. Sabbath day's journey. All right. So in that Sabbath day's journey, Acts 1 and 12 tells you it's a Sabbath day's journey. All right, ain't that beautiful? So now I want you to go to the temple area, figure out what a Sabbath day's journey is. Hey, go to Acts real quick, man. You know I don't like to do this, but sometimes you got to. Go to Acts chapter 1 verse 12. Real quick, let's just go there real quick. You there?
Come.
All right, read that, please.
Acts chapter 1, verse 12.
Acts chapter 1, verse 12.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem.
Unto Jerusalem, go ahead.
From the mount called Olivet.
From the mount called Olivet.
Which is from Jerusalem.
Which is from Jerusalem, go ahead.
A Sabbath day's journey.
A Sabbath day's journey. Everybody see that? Jerusalem is a Sabbath day's journey from the Mount of Olives. Now, what's a Sabbath day's journey? It's about 2,000 feet. You can go do any research. You can look in the Talmud. You can look in the Bible. You can look in Strong's. You can look in the Bible dictionary. It's all going to say the same thing. Roughly 2,000 feet. About what? A half a mile. About a half a mile. About a half a mile. Okay? Everybody with me? About a half a mile. So that's the distance from one major destination to the next major destination. One major point. So Sabbath day's journey. So Yahushua and his disciples could not go to Matthew. They couldn't be. Matter of fact, was that the Sabbath day that they did that walk on right there? What was the Sabbath day's journey? Okay. It was the Sabbath day's journey. Now when you look at Matthew, go to Matthew 24 real quick, drop that. So the Bible gives you a distance, man. So if I go to Telerad, I should be able to go from Jerusalem to the Mount of Olives in approximately half a mile. That's be on this grand mountain. Coronavirus has been around for years. I don't know why the white man is trying to engineer it now. It's been around for years. It's on the back of the Lysol can. Somebody asked about the coronavirus on YouTube, y'all, so sorry. So I don't really pay too much attention to it. It's another plague, sickness, Ebola, swine flu, bird flu, it all comes around, man. I've been watching all this happen, 40-something years, bro. Like, ain't nothing new under the sun. Same stuff happened, Read that Matthew 24, verse 1.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple.
Keep going.
And Yahushua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately.
So they went from the temple area to where?
The Mount of Olives.
The Mount of Olives. Now, so where is the Mount of Olives as it pertains to Jerusalem? So give me Zechariah chapter, what part of Jerusalem is it on? Zechariah chapter 14, verse 4. And then we're going to stop this because we don't want to make this about where's the real Jerusalem. We all know that the real Jerusalem is where it is today. But they've got the walls around the different places other than where it was at. All right. What they call the Temple Mount right now, that's actually the Roman Fort Antonia. That's not the temple. It's Roman Fort Antonia. That's what it is. It was a Roman fort, 35 acres. The same size as the Roman forts always have been throughout history. The Temple Mount wasn't 35 acres. All right. Zechariah 14:4.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives.
So the feet stand on the Mount of Olives. Go ahead.
Which is before Jerusalem.
Which is before Jerusalem.
On the east and on the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst.
Read that part again.
Which is before Jerusalem,
mm-hmm.
on the east. And
all right, so read that again.
Which is before
So start from the top again, I'm sorry.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives.
So his feet are going to stand on the Mount of Olives. Everybody understands that. His feet are going to stand on the Mount of Olives. Which goes into what? Revelation chapter 12. Part of this, it mentions, Revelation chapter 12 also mentions the Messiah's feet standing on Mount Zion. I'm not 12, I'm sorry, 14. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, which the lamb symbolizes who? Who the lamb symbolizes? Yahushua, right. Very good. And with him, 144,000, which is 12,000 from each what? Tribe. 12,000 from each tribe. What tribe is missing though? What tribe is going to be missing? Dan. Y'all don't read it? I ain't read it? I don't know if you ain't read it. Don't guess. All right? 144,000, right? On Mount Zion. So that's Mount Zion. Now let's go to the Mount of Olives, which is in the same vicinity. What happened when we go on Mount Zion? Zechariah 14:4. Read that real quick.
Which is before Jerusalem.
Read that from the top again.
And his feet shall stand in that day.
His feet are going to stand in that day.
Upon the Mount of Olives.
Upon the Mount of Olives. Go ahead.
which is before Jerusalem.
Which is before Jerusalem. Go ahead.
On the east.
On the east. Go ahead.
And the Mount of Olives.
And the Mount of Olives.
Shall cleave in the midst.
Shall cleave in the midst.
Thereof. Toward the east.
Toward the east.
And toward the west.
And toward the west.
And there shall be a very great valley.
So Mount of Olives is going to make a valley. Which means that there's no valley now in between the mountains of the Mount of Olives. There's one mountain. And they're going to cleave it in half in the middle, and it's going to make a valley in the middle, right? Everybody got that? Everybody got that? Okay, so now check this out. The Mount of Olives is on what side of Jerusalem? East. So if I go east of Jerusalem, I should walk into what? I should walk into the Mount of Olives. That's simple. That's simple to understand, right? It ain't an all-day walk because Yahushua and them left the temple area and went to the Mount of Olives and sat down and started talking and chilling. They didn't get ready for bed. They didn't have supper. They sat down and was talking. It was a short distance. It wasn't a long walk. It wasn't a day's journey. It was a Sabbath day's journey. All right? It wasn't a day's journey. It was a Sabbath day's journey, right? Okay, so now, let's go into the fact that when I go into Tel Arad, I should be able to go into the east side of where they say this is Jerusalem or the temple, and I should be able to walk toward the east, and I should run into a mountain, that's the Mount of Olives, and I should be able to get there, you know, in a nice amount of time. It shouldn't take me all day. Right? And between the Mount of Olives and Jerusalem, I should run into what? I should see a garden of Gethsemane there. There should be a garden area of Gethsemane, which means there should be the remains of what? What should be there? Remains of a village. And since there was in Mount of Olives, people lived around the Mount of Olives, so there should be what? Remains of a village. Over the ground or under the ground. And when I go to this so-called Jerusalem and Tel Arad, I should be able to go under the ground and see what? Remains of a village. And most importantly, what did Jerusalem have around it? A wall. And what was at the walls? They had what? How did you get in through the wall? They had big gates. So I should be able to find Jerusalem with the big wall under the ground or over the ground, with the foundation under the ground, with great stones, big wall. Because you don't build a wall, you don't start the big wall over top of the ground. You start it under the ground to put the foundation in. And you simply don't have all of these engineering, architectural, all right, feats and features in Tel Arad. You don't have all of these things. What you do have most of all is a building, a rather small building, that does not fit the description of the temple that Solomon built, that was built by Zerubbabel, or that was built by Herod. It doesn't fit the description. It doesn't fit the description. So I'm sorry. I know a lot of you brothers invested a lot of time into Tel Arad, but it doesn't fit the biblical description of Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, it contradicts the biblical description of Jerusalem. Because, are you in Matthew 24 yet?
I'm on that now.
I read that.
Which verse?
Start from the top.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple,
Mm-hmm.
and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto him, See ye not all these things? Verily,
So they're what? Were they leaving?
and departed from the temple.
They left the temple area. Everybody hear that? They left the temple area. Everybody heard that, right? I mean, everybody listening on your device, laptop, iPad, phone, Android, computer, all right, monitor. You heard the scripture. It says they departed from where?
The temple.
The where? I can't hear y'all. The where? The where?
The temple.
The where?
The temple.
They departed from where?
The temple.
The temple. So let's see what happened when they departed from the temple. And this is, I really apologize for going on this tangent, but it's something that needs to be said. Because Passover is coming up soon, and you're going to have a lot of people trying to make people go down and tell them saying that's the real Jerusalem. But they left the temple area, and they say that people say in Telerad, well, here's the temple right here. So we don't even have to debate or argue anything or entertain any discussions or explanations once we read the next verse of what the master said. Read.
And the disciples came to show him the buildings of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things?
Do you see all these buildings around here at the temple and the temple complex? Read.
Verily I say unto you.
Truly, I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you truthfully, and believe what I'm saying. What did our Lord, Master, Savior, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Lion of the tribe of Judah, what did he say about the temple and the buildings around the temple area? Go ahead.
There shall not be.
There shall what?
There shall not.
There shall what?
There shall not.
There shall be one.
There shall not.
There shall not. Meaning there's not going to be what? There shall not what?
Be left here one stone.
There's not going to be one stone. One stone. There won't be one stone what?
Upon another.
Upon another. There's not going to be no stones left one upon another. Go ahead.
That shall not be thrown down.
That won't be thrown down. So how can we say the temple of Yahweh is in Telerad and we found the Holy of Holies if the stones are still there stacked up and it looks like a nice little building? How can you say that when your master said all of the stones are going to be knocked down? I'm gonna pull up, and I don't usually do this when we teaching too much, do we? We don't usually go in and side topic and now we're going to pull up, visual references. I don't usually do that, do we? We're gonna show them now because it's I feel like it's a very important topic. So you put in Telerad, then they're gonna bring you to something that's significant to Telerad. So the master said, there shall not one of these stones be left one upon another. I like how it search by itself once you get online. Okay. Images, 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 images. Oh, I didn't click images. I thought I did though. And lo and behold, man, look at all of these beautiful pictures. Look at all these beautiful pictures. Let me show y'all. Look at all these beautiful pictures. You see them? Can y'all see them pictures right there? On your screens, wherever y'all at? See them pictures? Those are stones that are on top of each other. And that's what people are saying right here. They saying this is Telerad. They saying this is the temple. But the Messiah said that those temples and those stones at the temple were not going to be on top of each other anymore. So how are we going to say this is the temple of the Most High when we have stones on top of each other? You know about that little secret, did you? Okay. All right, so look at this. These are stones on top of one another. These are stones on top of one another. The remains of a wall. And everybody said this was a Canaanite / Israelite fortress. Ain't no historical archaeologists coming out saying, well, this was really the temple of the Lord. You see? It's a national park. So nonetheless, now, if you look at the map, when you see Telerad, all right? So, okay. If I go over this way, which is east of the city, east of Telerad, that's north, and that's east. East is at the top of the screen, all right? If I go to the top of the screen, a few miles, all right? I don't know if y'all can see that good on the computer. It's kind of bright. Yeah, we're gonna give that one up. You should run into what? What should you run into as you go east? The Mount of Olives. Simple. It's not hard. It's simple, but you're not. There's no Mount of Olives there. Yeah, there's no Bethel in the north, on the south. I mean, there's no Bethlehem on the southwest. There's no Jericho on the northeast. So we just wanted to bring that out real quick. That wasn't the topic, okay? Just wanted to tell you got to do your own research. What verse were we in?
Matthew chapter 24, verse.
So we read that. He said there was not going to be no buildings left, no stones left on top of each other. Let's go back into Exodus now. What verse were you in?
Exodus chapter 15, verse 18.
Okay, go ahead.
Yahweh shall reign forever and ever.
So that's what he said, the mountain of his inheritance. The mountain of his inheritance is a mountain complex. Mount Moriah, Mount Zion, Mount of Olives. There's mountains there. There's mountains there. All in that vicinity. Okay, go ahead.
For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea. And Yahweh brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Beshalach went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances.
Mm-hmm.
And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to Yahweh, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. So Mashah brought Yashalah from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days into the wilderness, and found no water.
So they went where?
Into the wilderness of Shur.
So they went to the wilderness of Shur. And that's not the territory of the Ishmaelites. Then Amalekites and Ishmael had that territory. Okay, go ahead.
And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. Mm-hmm. And the people murmured against Mashah.
Marah means bitter, just like the myrrh, when it says frankincense and myrrh, that's talking about that it's bitter taste. Okay?
And the people murmured against Mashah, saying, What shall we drink? And he cried unto Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree.
So Yahweh says, hey, look at this tree, man. Yahweh show you all kinds of things when you trust in him and you're just doing what he wants you to do. But you want a survivor's guide. Oh, if you meet a place where you got no water, look for this tree. Okay, if you go to the river or go to the water and Pharaoh's army chase you, do this maneuver and push this button and you're gonna make it through. Okay, if you're hungry, okay, you gotta put these two things together and you're gonna have your quail dropping from the sky and the manna. Here's your manna cooking survival guide. Most High don't give you no guide like that. You see, say what the Most High say jump, And we say what? How high? As we jumping. We say jump. We say how high as we jumping. We don't sit back wait for the Most High, we know he was supposed to do something. So the Most High said don't work on the Sabbath. You don't work on the Sabbath until you get a better job. You stop working on the Sabbath. And whatever happens after that happens. Because who you serving? Your family or the Most High? Who's first? Your job or the Most High? So either the Most High gonna look out for you or he ain't. And if he don't look out for you, oh well. He ain't your personal life ATM. It ain't that easy. All right, we filthy and we trying to get right. So we better show him that we want to be right. All right, go ahead.
And he cried unto Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree, which when he had cast into the waters,
Right.
the waters were made sweet.
The waters were made sweet. Go ahead.
There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them, and said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yahweh,
if you listen to Yahweh's voice, go ahead.
The Elohim, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments.
Do what's right in his sight. Are we supposed to do what's right in his sight or what's wrong in his sight? You see that? We're supposed to do what's right in his sight. No matter what. Because he's always looking. He's always looking. So when you do all these things for the public to see, and then you go behind closed doors, and it's just you and a jar of Vaseline and your little gerbil. The Most High see what you're doing. The Most High sees you. You see? So the Most High say if you do right in his what? In his eyes. Do what he said is the right thing to do. Go ahead, read.
And will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes. I'll put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am Yahweh that healeth thee. And they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water, and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters. Kazra, the Bar Yahweh, Naisha, Menashemai. All that Yahweh said, what are we doing here?
Okay, so let's go to Judges, chapter 4. Okay. 4:4 to 5:31. Okay. So read 4:4 to the end.
Judges chapter 4, verse 4. And Deborah.
What verse you in? What chapter you in? And book?
Judges chapter 4, verse 4.
Okay.
And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Yashar'allah at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel and Mount Ephraim.
So she gave men counsel about their problems. She's an older, wiser woman probably. That was just, an expert at right and wrong decisions and how to do the right thing. Nothing wrong with her sitting in that capacity. And she was doing it what? Up under her husband. Go ahead.
And the children of Yashar'allah came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not Yahweh Elohim of Yashar'allah commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali,
which is the Argentinians and Chileans. Chilean, go ahead.
And of the children of Zebulun,
which is Central America. Go.
And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. And Barak said unto her, If thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for Yahweh shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet. And Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself with the Kenites, and pitched his tent unto the plain of Zanaim, which is by Kadesh. And they showed to Sarah that Barak, the son of Abinoam, was gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day in which Yahweh hath delivered Sisera into thine hand, and 10,000 men after him. And Yahweh discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. But Barak pursued it after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles. And all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with the mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk, and gave him drink, and covered him. Again he said to her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? And thou shalt say, No. Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it unto the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary.
So what did she do? She took a nail and a hammer and put it through his skull. Right here. Took a big nail from the stake from the tent, right?
Yeah.
Took the stake from the tent, probably long like this, heavy, metal, put it on his head, took the hammer, bam, and went, crest his temple. So that's the type of women that we raise. Not the, oh, get off me, oh no, no. So if you raped the Israelite woman, boy, you was in for the fight of your life. All right, because the women back then, they took nails and stuck them through your head. You know, that's the that's the and that ran and those types of traditions continue through the children of Simeon and the children of Ephraim, children of Benjamin. Levi give you a run for your money too. I don't know who take the cake, man. Judah, as far as the brawler women. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, or Manasseh.
You didn't put Simeon in there?
Yeah. That's what I meant to say. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, or Ephraim.
They all have a touch of craziness in them.
Who take the cake though? He just.
I don't know. I maybe Benjamin.
All right. So anyway, our Israelite women. You know, Gadite women was killers too, man. Gadite women were killers too when the white man was invading America. You know, our women were killers, man. All of the plains people, the nomadic and the sedimentary. What do you call the people that are sedimentary? That have a city and they just plant crops and stuff in the area. What are they called? Agrarian people. As opposed to ones that's not agrarian that go from place to place are called what? Nomadic. So we had Israelite cultures that were both, but the women were rough, man. The women were rough. And the ancient Israelite women you see were rough too. Go ahead.
So he died.
So she banged his head on that tent. All right. So this is all going on between the territories of Asher, Zebulun, Issachar, and Naphtali, that general area right there. All right. That general area right there, which is the territory of the so-called Mexicans and Central Americans and so-called Argentinians and Chileans. Go ahead.
And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. And Elohim subdued on that day Jabin, king of the king of the Canaanites, before the children of Yashar'alah. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan.
All right. Now, Maria, let's come up and read 5 up to 31. Amaya ban Paraza ban. We ain't forget about you. We ain't forget about you. Amaya ban Paraza. Go ahead. Numbers, Judges chapter 5.
Then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam.
So the women was happy when we went to war. You know, women was happy when they went to war and they got the victory. They started singing songs and stuff. Okay, started singing songs. Okay, yeah.
And on that day, sang, praise ye Yahweh for the avenging of Yashar'alah. When the people will willingly offer themselves, hear, O ye kings, give ear, O ye princes, I, even I, will sing unto Yahweh. I will sing praise unto Yahweh, Alahaya of Yashar'alah.
Verse 1.
Verse 4.
Go ahead.
Yahweh, when thou wentest out of Seir, when thou marchest out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled, the heavens dropped, the clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted from before Yahweh, even that Sinai from before Yahweh Alahai of Yashar'alah. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through byways. The inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased in Yashar'alah until that I, Deborah, arose, that I arose a mother in Yashar'alah. They chose new gods. Then was war in the gates.
So she rose up and was doing motherly things for Israel. She was helping to judge matters problems that people had, like a mother does. She didn't usurp authority over the system that was already set up. She put herself into it under her husband and was helping to counsel brothers and tell them what needs to be done in certain situations. Go ahead.
Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Yashar'alah? My heart is toward the governors of Yashar'alah.
My heart is toward the governors of Yashar'alah. Go ahead.
That offer themselves willingly.
The governors of Yashar'alah, those that are concerned with the people and how to set things up and do things in order and defend the people and stand up for the people. She says, the governors of Yashar'alah.
Offer themselves willingly among the people. Bless ye Yahweh.
So the governors of the people. So our women like when the men rise up to help defend the people, help direct and guide the people, help serve the people. Go ahead.
Speak ye that ride on white asses, that ye sit in judgment and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of archers, in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Yashar'alah. Then shall the people of Yahweh go down to the gates. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, utter a song, arise, Barak, and lead thy captivity captive, thou son of Abinoam. Then he made him that remaineth have dominion over the nobles among the people. Yahweh made me have dominion over the mighty. Out of Ephraim was there a root against against Amalek. After thee, Benjamin, among thy people, out of Machir came down governors, and out of Zebulun, they that handle the pen of the writer. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar, and also Barak. He was set on foot into the valley. For the divisions of Reuben, there were great thoughts of the heart.
And also, let me say this again. When it talks about rehearsing, can you pull that up real quick? Judges 5:11 in Hebrew. When they talk about rehearsing the righteous acts, that means repeating what the Most High have done for the children of Israel. That doesn't mean we're gonna say, okay, let's try let's try to not commit fornication with a dog. And if you do it, we'll try it again tomorrow. So I'm gonna put a dog in the room with you and don't touch it, okay? Let's try not to kiss a cat in the mouth, okay? Let's try not to try to have babies with a sheep. Can y'all try that? Oh, you messed up. You try to have babies with a sheep. Now we gotta do it tomorrow. That ain't rehearsing the righteous act. That's you doing wickedness. Rehearsing the righteous acts means the Most High delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt. The Most High threw the chariots into the waters. The Most High drowned the whole army. The Most High blew his wind, and the wind opened up the water. He brought an east wind. The Most High blew, the waters fell, and it went over top of the chariots and the riders and the horses, and everybody drowned. All right. The Most High opened up the earth and it swallowed up his adversaries that rose up against his leadership. You see that? So now the Most High is showing you that, these are the things that I did. So the righteous acts are the things that the Most High have done. All right? These are things that the Most High has done. So that rehearse means to, the way this is used is to recount something. All right, it's used in Judges 5:11. It appears like that's the only place it's used in the whole scripture, right? Well, it's used as commemorate and then recount. Judges 11:40. Yearly to commemorate, right? To rehearse, to remember. All right, the word is used, means to remember. It doesn't mean to try all over again. So you brothers that are justifying sinning, saying, well, I'm just rehearsing, man, so I'm going to break the Sabbath. I'm going to do wrong. I might eat a little bit of butterfly shrimp every now and then because I'm still rehearsing, man. I ain't get it right yet. I might, filet mignon is lawful, but I'm going to have to rehearse eating it without the filet mignon with the bacon wrapped around it, which is how they serve the filet mignon, the most tender part of the cow. And they said, well, let's put some pig on it. Let's put the nastiest animal basically on land that we eat on a regular basis around this healthy, juicy, tender cow, beef. You see that? That's wicked. So rehearsing the righteous acts means to explain and remember and share the goodness of what the Most High have done. So it says you're going to rehearse. It says rehearse the righteous acts. Okay. All right. There you go. Oh, go ahead.
Why abodest thou among the sheepfolds to hear the bleatings of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of the heart.
So Reuben is the natives in Florida. Go ahead.
Gilead abode beyond Jordan.
Gilead talking about the Gadites. That's the Gadites beyond Jordan. Go ahead.
And why did Dan remain in ships?
Dan remained in ships, which is the Garifuna, Galipuna, Kalipuna, Garina, Gu, some of the Eastern Arawak tribes in the East Pacific. Eastern Caribbean. They call the Black Caribs and the Red Caribs. They were on ships. They used to go back and forth on ships, the Danites. All right, go ahead.
Asher continued on the seashore.
See, Asher was on the seashores, the Palafitos. He built his house on the waters even to today. In Colombia, in Venezuela, he built his house on the shores of the water. It's called the Palafitos, on the breaches, the little offshoots of the river. All right, they build houses. Go ahead.
And abode in his breaches.
See, abode in his breaches. These breaches are little streams that go off of the river, especially when you go into that part of the river as it starts to branch out, which is called a what? When the river branches out and goes into a larger body of water, that's called a what? A delta. Especially in the delta areas. All right? And a lot of people don't realize that Goshen in the land of Egypt, where the Israelites lived at, was also a what? And you got the Orinoco, what? And you got the Nile, what? Where we lived at. And one of the most famous places we were brought as slaves at and lived at is the Mississippi Delta. See all these deltas. And I'm not talking about Delta, whatever their little sign is. Is it ooh you? Whatever. I don't remember what. It's been a long time since I was in the university. I forgot what the Delta sign is. I think they do the thing. It's the pinky. But anyway, not that. All right. So that's the breaches that Asher was dwelling in. Go ahead.
Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that jeoparded their lives unto the death in the high places of the field.
Mm-hmm. So fighting their enemies from the mountains. They got little rituals that they do from the high poles where they spin around. Go ahead.
The kings came and fought. Then fought the kings of Canaan and Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo.
Megiddo. Mm-hmm.
They took no gain of money.
Right. We're not fighting for money. We're fighting for, because we like to fight. We need to fight. We want to fight. Go ahead.
They fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera.
Mm-hmm.
And the river of Kishon swept them away. That ancient river.
So the Most High already had everything set up. Who's gonna fight? Who's gonna win? It was all set up. So all they had to do was trust in the Most High. All right. Go ahead.
The river Kishon, O my soul, thou hast trodden down strength. There were the horse hoofs broken by the means of prancings, the prancings of their mighty ones. Curse ye, Mesron, Meroz, said the angel of Yahweh. Curse ye bitterly, and the inhabitants thereof, because they came not to help of Yahweh. The help of Yahweh against the mighty. Blessed above woman shall Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite be. Blessed shall she be above woman in the tent.
So this is a Gentile woman, remember. She's a Gentile woman, but the Most High saying she's blessed. Because of the help she gave to the children of Israel in fighting against our enemies. So you don't know what these Gentiles are willing to do for our people, for the children of Israel now. So we see Gentiles intervening on our behalf against another Gentile, and the same thing happens nowadays. We just don't see it all happening when it happens, but it happens. Go ahead.
He asked water, and she gave him milk.
So real quick, when it said that the men can handle the pen of Zebulun, one of the most famous writings that we have over in the Americas is from Zebulun. All right, the Maya codices from Zebulun, and then the Popol Vuh, all right, is Zebulun, which is written about the history of the people when they came over into the Americas. It's a mythology system, but it still talks about how we came into the east, into the west on ships from the place of the rising sun, and we were saved by a monkey that was in the tree. And the flood came, which is Noah in the ark. A human, you have a humanoid type of, a human type creature. You have wood and you have water. So that's Noah in the wooden boat in the ark with his sons. Go ahead.
He asked water, and she gave him milk.
Mm-hmm.
She brought forth butter in a lordly dish.
Mm-hmm.
She put her hand to the nail, and her right hand to the workman's hammer.
And bashed his skull in. Go ahead.
And with the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head when she had pierced and stricken through his temples.
Wow.
After her feet he bowed, he fell, he lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell down dead. The mother of Sisera looked out at a window and cried through the lattice, why is his chariot so long in coming?
When my son gonna come? He went to fight against the Israelites. I know he don't whip them. So she didn't care nothing about us either. So the Most I say, mourn your son. Your son is gonna die. Go ahead.
Why tarry the wheels of his chariots? Her wise ladies answered her, yea, she returned to answer herself. Have they not sped? Have they not devised the prey? To every man a damsel or two.
Haven't they divided up the women yet? Haven't they divided up the money and stuff? Go ahead.
To Sisera, a prey of diverse colors, a tray of diverse colors of needlework.
Some embroidered garments. She thought he was gonna come home with the jackpot. I got some new garments for your moms. I got you some new women, Hebrew women that's gonna help you do what you need to do. Go ahead.
Of diverse colors of needlework on both sides. Meat for the necks of them that take the spoil.
Ooh, needlework on both sides. You know how hard it is to make needlework to look good on both sides? Because first you got to do the same design on both sides. And then you make a flower on one side, then the underside has just the little stitches and stuff. You got to make a beautiful design on both sides. So you like doing two things in one, so it looks good on both sides. See, that's a lot of work, ain't it? Y'all know how hard it is just to sew. One thing, imagine this, the sewing on the other side need to be the same as the other side. Go ahead.
So let all thine enemies perish, Yahweh. But let them that love him be as the sun when he goeth forth in his might. And the land had rest 40 years.
Okay, hallelujah. All right, yes, I come back up and do 17. Do the end of 16 to 17, 8. Exodus 16, 2. Go ahead. Exodus 16, 2.
Exodus chapter 16, verse 1.
No, 2. We read, you stopped at 1, right?
I stopped at verse 27 of chapter 15.
No, I thought you went to 16:1. Did you read 16:1? Go ahead.
And they took their journey from Elim.
Yeah, I think I stopped you.
And all the congregation of the children of Yashar'allah came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month, after their departing out of the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the children of Yashar'allah murmured against Moshe and Aharon in the wilderness. And the children of Yashar'allah said unto them, What to Allahim we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger.
Right.
Then said Yahweh unto Moshe, Behold, I'll rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them whether they walk in my law or no.
So go ahead and get a certain amount of food to eat every day. That's the most I tell them to do. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day that they shall be prepared that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily.
Right.
And Moshe and Aharon said unto all the children of
So on
Yashar'allah,
what day?
on the 6th day.
So on the 6th day, you got to make provisions for the Sabbath day. You have to. You can't wait until the Sabbath to make provisions for the Sabbath day. You should do it on the 6th day, really as early as possible, not like right before the sun goes down. Oh, I'm going to go get some stuff for the Sabbath now because, Sabbath about to be here. That's kind of the opposite of that's like the opposite of what, is being taught here. The Most High didn't say, well, yeah, wait just for the sun goes down and then get your last little bit double portion for today and for the Sabbath. As well as you can get it, go ahead and get it. Go ahead.
And Moshe and Aharon said unto all the children of Yashar'allah, at even, then ye shall know that Yahweh hath brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning, then ye shall see the glory of Yahweh, for that he heareth your murmurings against Yahweh. And what are we that ye murmur against us? And Moshe said, This shall be, when Yahweh shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, for that Yahweh heareth your murmurings, which ye murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahweh. And Moshe spake unto Aharon, saying to all the congregation of the children of Yashar'allah, Come near before
So they said,
Yahweh.
man, we want some food. They disrespected Moses. So a lot of people always want to disrespect the leadership, like they perfect, and they think they can do better than the leadership, but all they doing is complaining. And that's an epidemic amongst people in general. They complain about what Trump is doing. All right, they complain about what Obama is doing. Every time they complain about some leadership, they complain about Moses. Right? They complain about Yahweh. Everybody else complain about the leader, but ain't nobody outdoing the leadership.
In anything.
That's the whole thing. Y'all complain about the leadership, but you're not outdoing the leadership. So the good and the bad, they got wicked leadership. Most of the leadership is wicked. But in amongst our people that believe in the Torah supposed to be the ultimate guide of how we do things. And if it's not, then we got a problem. Go ahead.
And Mashah spake unto Aharon, saying to all the congregation of the children of Yasha'Allah, come near before Yahweh, for he hath heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aharon spake unto the whole congregation of the children of Yasha'Allah, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yahweh appeared in the cloud. And Yahweh spake unto Mashah, saying,
So a cloud is like a chariot, so-called UFO. Go ahead.
I have heard the murmurings of the children of Yasha'Allah.
Probably.
Speak unto them, saying, at even ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to pass that at even the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay round about the host. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Yasha'Allah saw
So small, narrow, like wafer. Go ahead.
And when the children of Yasha'Allah saw it, they said one to another, it is manna, for they wist not what it was.
Like, what is this? That's what manna means. What?
And Mashah said unto them, this is the bread which Yahweh hath given you to eat. This is the thing which Yahweh hath commanded, and gather of it every man according to his eating, and an omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tent. And the children of Yasha'Allah did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating.
So the Most High gave every man the same amount, and they were filled. Every man according to his measure. It all was evened out by the Most High spiritually and supernaturally. Go ahead.
And Mashah said, let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Mashah, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Mashah was very wroth with them. And they gathered it every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread.
So on the 6th day, they gathered twice as much. Go ahead.
2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Mashah. And he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh hath said.
So I said, man, everybody was doing this thing. We need to go and talk to Moses. But they had forgotten that the Most High had told Moses to do that. So he said, this is what Yahweh said. Go ahead.
Tomorrow is the rest day of the holy Shabbat.
Tomorrow is the holy Shabbat. Go ahead.
Unto Yahweh. Bake that which ye bake.
Whatever you're going to bake it. Go ahead.
Today, and seed that which ye will seed.
Whatever you're going to seed, go ahead.
And that which remaineth over, lay up for you to be kept until the morning.
Whatever left over, that's going to be for the morning. So he said, bake whatever you're going to bake, and then boil whatever you're going to boil. Whatever left over, you can eat that for the morning time. That'd be your breakfast. So eat some cold Sabbath spaghetti, or some room temperature Sabbath spaghetti, room temperature manna. Okay, go ahead.
And they laid it up till the morning, as Mashah baked, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Mashah said, eat that today, for today is a Shabbat unto Yahweh. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Shabbat, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass that some went out of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. And Yahweh said to Mashah, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for that Yahweh hath given you the Shabbat. Therefore he giveth you...
Yahweh gives you the Shabbat. Go ahead.
Therefore he giveth you...
Yahweh gives you on the 6th day. Go ahead.
The bread of 2 days.
Yahweh makes sure you have enough on the 6th day to the 7th day. So you now, in your captivity, need to do it for yourself. That's what the Most High is saying. I'm going to do it for you now, but you're going to get in a position when you get in your land or your captivity, do it for yourself. Go ahead.
Abide ye every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day.
So the Most High put them on punishment. Since y'all don't want to, since y'all came out y'all room and was doing wrong, stay in your room. Don't come out. Stay in the house. stay in the bed all day. Don't come out on the Sabbath. See, the Most High, see, this is where we learn this stuff. And the Most High did the same thing. Oh, y'all don't know how to act on the Sabbath day? Stay your butt in the house. Get in the house. Don't come out till the sun go down. Then you can go look at the stars in the sand. So the Most High said, put Israel on punishment like a father chastises his children. Go ahead.
So the people rested on the seventh day.
They rested on the seventh day. And that's just something we all got to do, man. Because a lot of us, we want to stay up till 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. And I'm guilty of it also. But the Israelites, they rested on the seventh day. They rested on the what?
On the seventh day.
Uh-huh.
And the house of Yasharallah called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey.
So the seventh day they rested on was from the nighttime. They started resting. So when that sun come down, bam, they said, well, we're gonna get some sleep now. Go ahead.
And Mashah said, This is the thing which Yahweh commandeth.
Right.
Fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations,
1 omer.
that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Mashah said unto Aharon, Take a pot, and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before Yahweh to be kept for your generations, as Yahweh commanded Mashah. So Aharon laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Yasharallah did eat manna 40 years, until they came to the land inhabited.
It's my imagination.
No, I don't.
So he laid it up, go ahead.
They did eat manna until they came unto the border of the land of Canaan.
Now how did the person writing Exodus know that they kept it until they went into Canaan? How did they know that? Who wrote this? You see that? Go ahead.
Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah.
Mm-hmm.
Kalashara,
Kalasara,
Bar Yahweh,
the body of Yahweh,
Na'isha,
Na'isha,
Wanashima.
Wanashima.
All Yahweh said,
All that Yahweh said,
what are we doing here?
what we do in here. All right, go ahead down to verse 8.
Exodus chapter 17, verse 1. And all the congregation of the children of Yasharallah journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys, according to the commandment of Yahweh, and pitched in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Mashah, and said, Give us water that we may drink. And Mashah said unto them, Why chide ye with me?
Every time, man. Every time. Most High do a miracle for them, they start complaining. Do another miracle, they just keep on complaining. Go ahead.
Wherefore do ye tempt Yahweh? And the people thirsted there for water. And the people murmured against Mashah, and said, Wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt, to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And Mashah cried unto Yahweh, saying, What shall I do unto this people? They be almost ready to stone me. And Yahweh said unto Mashah, Go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Yasharallah,
The elders of Yasharallah.
and thy rod, wherewith thou smotest the river, take in thine hand and go. Behold, I will stand before thee upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock. Thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Mashah did so in the sight of the elders of Yasharallah, and he called the name of the place Masah and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Yasharallah, because they tempted Yahweh, saying, Is Yahweh among us or not? Then came Amalek and fought with Yasharallah and Rephidim.
Okay. And Amalek came and fought with us. What is this? This one stop at. I keep going. Stop at 16.
And Mashah said unto Joshua, Choose us out men, and go fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand.
So fine. Now let's use this as an example. When Joshua went and got the men to fight in the war, those men weren't permanently under Joshua's command. They were still under whatever tribe they belonged to, whatever school or camp, organization, body, or community they belonged to. But when it came to this purpose for the officers of war, they were under those commanders and the officers of war. Everybody understand that? That makes sense? So that's how it is with Masharat Yasharallah. These men that's going to Masharat Yasharallah, You know, we're not taking these men and saying these men are under our control for whatever we want them to do. Those men in your camp are still under you. But when it comes to the workings of the government for certain and specific missions, they're under the command of that officer or that judge or that elder of Mashiach Yasha'Allah, because you have to do things decently and in order. So nobody's like robbing your men away from you. Those men are still under your command for your camp, your organization, your school, your community. They're still under you, but when it comes to this particular mission that has to happen, now everybody's under that national control from Joshua. But then when that's over, now they're gonna go back to their particular tribe to be under their elders and their other officers. You see, that's how it's supposed to work. Mashiach Yasha'Allah is supposed to be commanding the men in certain national events, certain national movements, certain national type of operations that need to happen. Not just we in charge of the men all time and every time. And no, the commanding officer for those men is still their elders and their officers and judges from their gates. But just like Joshua is doing, he's taking these men from all the 12 tribes, and now they're going to go do what? Go fight that war. So that's why they have to listen to and obey Joshua. Go ahead.
So Joshua did as Mashiach had said to him, and fought with Amalek, and Mashiach and Aharon and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, when Mashiach held up his hand, and Mashiach handed me, and they took a stone, and put it under him, and he sat thereon, and Aharon and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the stone.
So even though he was a leader, he still needed his right-hand man and his left-hand man to help him get through that battle. And that's his main two men, right? It was Caleb, right? No, Ben-Hur, all right? Or Hur, rather. Aaron and Hur, all right? So they the ones that's, it's Joshua, right? Yeah, Joshua and Hur, right? Aaron and Hur. Joshua's going to the war, right? Joshua's going to the war. So Joshua's playing his role, which is his real right-hand man. That's the right-hand man. So Joshua's the right-hand man, and then, you have Hur, and then you have Aaron, right? Holding up his arms. All right, go ahead.
And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Yahweh said
So he
unto
killed Amalek. Today are the fathers of all of the world's European ruling powers, the leaders in Turkey, in Germany, in Portugal, in Austria, all right, in Belgium, all right, probably in Turkmenistan too, in Russia. All these guys are related to the family of Amalek, the top family of the Amalekites. All of them are related. All of them are related. They all come from the children of Amalek. One family. And that's how we know who Amalek is, one of the ways, because the scripture says that Amalek is going to be what? The head of the nations. All right? The head of the nation. Look in Numbers chapter 23 and 24. All right, go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Mashiach, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
So the Most High can totally destroy the Amalekites. Go ahead.
And Mashiach built an altar, and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi.
Or Yahweh Nasiyah, which means Yahweh is my banner. Go ahead.
For he said, because Yahweh hath sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
A war banner. Go ahead.
Kal Shirah,
Tabar
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Na'isha,
Na'isha,
Wanashemai. All Yahweh said,
All Yahweh said,
what we doing here?
What we doing here?
So he says he's going to have war with Amalek forever. Which is now, I know we was taught that it was a so-called white man calling himself a Jew, and that may be true. But the white people that we met that call themselves a Jew, they utterly refuse correctly or incorrectly to allow you to associate them in any way, shape, form, or fashion with Amalek.
Oh, yeah.
They said, nah, Amalek is evil, bro. Like, they was like, man, dude was like really, really, really offended. Like, nah. That's evil. They know how evil Amalek is. And then he was like, remember what he said? He was like, yo, he was like, this is what he said. He said, that's why I'm making up his word. He said, Netanyahu, that's Amalek. We not Amalek. Netanyahu, he's like, there's two kinds of Jews. The ones that really try to keep the Torah, you know, and the ones that sometimes have been misguided through the Talmud, and then the ones that are just trying to get power and money and rulership. The ones that was in Israel before 1948, those are the ones that was really just trying to be close to their own land because they could go back there. They said that's their land, and they wasn't trying to disrespect the Palestinians. They were living actually inside of the city of Jerusalem, and they were getting along. Nobody was really outside of the walls of the gates. It was the British dude that tried to get everybody to come outside the walls to try to populate outside the city. Nobody wasn't living outside the city walls of Jerusalem in the ancient times. Not even the ancient times, in the late 18 and early 1900s. Nobody wasn't living outside the walls all like that. Bedouins and stuff, everybody was living inside of the city walls. So the Amaleks, the white people, they're called the political leaders, the ones that call themselves the Jews, the Hasidic people, they make a clear divide between themselves and the other white people that don't practice the Talmud, the Torah, the Gemara, the Mishnah, nothing. They say that those are Amalekites. They said those are Edomites. We're not Edomites. So they totally dismissed the concept that they totally say, no, we ain't Esau, we Israel, we keep the Torah, blah, 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 whatever. But a lot of them don't really know the Torah. They know and learn the Talmud. But the Talmud is so flexible. You got bad stuff in there, you got good stuff in there. And you got crazy stuff in there, just sick and perverted and twisted. And you got stuff that's logical, correct, and biblical. So you got so many features and commentaries in there, you can pretty much go in the Talmud and say, I'm going to follow this part of the Talmud because this is the one that makes sense and lines up with the Torah for me and be correct. The Talmud is just is like Talmudim. Talmud means student. All right, Talam Yad. The Talmud isn't like the religion where you got to follow everything it says verbatim. The Talmud is many teachers, many commentaries on many subjects. And you do not have to accept everything that's in it. You can say, well, nah, that don't make sense. That's outside the Torah. I ain't marrying no damn 9-year-old girl. What the hell wrong with y'all? I'm not sucking no baby's private part to get the blood out when I circumcise. I'm not doing that. And you don't got to do it. But then the other stuff in there that's, when you do this, okay, when you have a woman and you have a marriage with her, you should have everything written out so everybody understands what's going on. And that's inside of the Tractate Ketubah. It says that. It says this is what we need to do in order to solidify and understand about the marriage. Because it was a different world then. You couldn't just go out and say, I'm going to get me a job in my own apartment and live on my own. And I'm going to get me an ass and a donkey and I'm going to start my own. You couldn't just do that. You had to have power and money and weapons. So you had to be protected so that if the man ever said, get out of here, you smell too good. I don't need no good smelling women around me. All right. The shekula headed right? The shekula. All right. Alfred Dawson. You couldn't do that. They said go. And then you still had your money that you could take with you and go wherever you need to go. That was the purpose of writing that ketubah, that get a woman some money for her to put to the side. Not to try to oppress or to try to steal or rob or be evil. It was a different time than we living in now. And all types of teachers. And instead of them arguing and fighting and fussing about the technicalities and trying to decide who's going to be right, they said, put it all in a book, you read it, whatever part you want to do, you rock with it. Whatever part we want to do, we can rock with it. So what you call the Orthodox, which is really going into the Haredi Jews or Hasidic Jews, they choose to rock with a different part of the Talmud. It's their option, their choice. All right, Sephardic or Ethiopian, Yemeni, the Mizrahi or the Iraqi, they rock with a different part of it. But now what the white man did, he tried to form everybody and said, you got to go by our understanding of it, but not the Hasidic, not the Haredi. They don't try to force you to do nothing in their terms. You know, they don't try to, they don't do no hardcore, heavy duty proselytizing. And they don't be on Facebook. And they don't be on YouTube. And they don't be all over social media. And they got millions and millions of people. You know why? Because they started out from physical communities in different parts of the world. Mainly Poland, a lot of them. All right, the Kabod, all that comes from off of Poland/Lithuania. So when they moved outside Jerusalem, they built Mir Shalim, which is the 100 gates, because they had a little area, and then they built 100 gates around the area. Because there was an epidemic, and people inside the gates were getting sick and dying. So a lot of people had to move outside the gates, and that's when they moved away from the Arabs. But before, they were living inside the gates of Jerusalem, the walls of Jerusalem with the Arabs. Then they moved out because everybody was dying inside the gates of sicknesses and different. It was a plague they went through, so they moved out. All right. But when they move out, when you go there, when they moved out, you can walk. A brisk walk, like how they be walking, you can get there like 6 minutes.
10.
On the outskirts, like by Navi Samuel, you can get there about 10 minutes on the bridge. 10 minutes. You can get to easy 15. You can get to easy 20 minutes just walking at a regular pace. And that's how. But they don't. That's how they moved out. But they don't consider themselves. They totally detached themselves from Amalek. You know what? And you kind of gotta investigate that a little more, because what did we read earlier in Romans 12 and go to Romans 11:6. Read that.
Romans chapter 11, verse 6. And if by grace,
Romans 9:6.
chapter 9, verse 6. Not as though the word of Elohim hath taken none effect.
Not as though Yahweh's word is not effective. It's still gonna do what it's supposed to do. Go ahead.
For they are not all Israel.
For they are not all Israel,
which are of Israel.
which are of Israel. So Scripture says, so how can you have a people that are Israelites that come from Israel, but they ain't really Israel? That's the. So I said they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. I mean, what? Just because you come from the Prince of Power don't make you the Prince of Power. So I'm asking the question now: could that same thing that the Most High said about Israel, could the same thing apply for the Gentile nations too? They are not all Amalek, which are of Amalek. They are not all Ishmael that are of Ishmael. Because what? Because one of the Ishmaelites had left with the children of Israel and went into wilderness with them. That's the one that was picking up the sticks, right? Was that the Ishmaelite boy? Picking up the sticks. All right. All right, go back to you finished in Romans, right? I mean, you finished in Exodus, right? All right, so y'all done. Let's do Matthew, chapter 14, verse 22 to 33. Matthew 14, verse 22 to 23. Levántate por acá. Matthew 14, verse 22. I read.
And well,
All right, man, you're getting off to a bad start if you're taking you a long time to read the word "and," man. Take some deep breaths and let's go into it and let's win. All right, come on over here. All right, go ahead.
and straightway,
Straightway, go ahead.
straightway, Yahushua constrained
Constrain. I mean, he really tried to get them to do something. Go ahead.
his disciples to get into a ship
Mm-hmm.
and to go before
Bring the book to you. Don't go to the book. Bring the book to you. Go ahead.
before him. And he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up unto the mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, they were known, but the ship was now in the midst of the sea,
Tossed.
with waves, for the wind was
Contrary. So the wind was blowing against the ship. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahushua went unto them walking on the sea. Keep reading.
And on the fourth watch,
I just read that. You read 6:26.
and when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit." And they cried out for fear.
So they cried out for fear because they thought it was a ghost. Go ahead.
But straightway Yahushua spoke
Meaning directly and like immediately. Go ahead.
unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid."
Meaning, yo, don't trip. Cheer up. It's me. Go ahead.
And Peter answered him, and he said, "Lord, if it be thou, did me come unto thee on the water?"
So he said, if it's you, ask me to let me come out to the water with you. Go ahead.
And he said, "Come." And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahushua.
So Peter started to walk on the water with Yahushua. Go ahead. He had faith.
But when he saw the wind
Boisterous. That means the wind was getting strong, so he got distracted. He was moving in the spirit, but then the physical was distracting him. That's why sometimes when we be praying, man, and people start scratching and moving all around, and I'm watching everybody. Nobody doing a whole bunch of scratching and moving around, and everybody be cool when they sitting down. But then when it's time to pray, it's like my back itch, my nose itch, my belly button itch, my little baby toe in the back behind the pinky and the cuticle itch. Everybody itching. Or standing up. And that's distracting when you try to stay in the spirit. You got stuff on the physical. All right? So Peter was getting distracted by the physical, even though he himself was walking in the spirit. The physical distracted him. All right, go ahead.
he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried, saying, "Lord, save me."
At least he said, save me. Go ahead.
And he imitated.
He what?
Imitated.
Immediately.
Immediately, Yahushua stretched forth his
Yahushua
hand.
stretched forth.
Stretched forth his
So
hand.
Yahushua put his hand out, probably was the right hand. Go ahead.
And caught him and said unto him, "O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt?"
Why did you what?
Doubt.
Doubt. See, doubt in the midst of operating in fear, and doubt in the midst of operating in faith caused Peter to fall. He had the faith, but then the physical distracted him. and he had doubt that came in. Go ahead.
And when they were come into the ship, the wind
The wind what? Ceased. That means the wind stopped. Go ahead.
Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him.
Worship means they bowed down to him. Bow down as a token of respect, not bow down like, oh, you the Most High. What did they say?
Of a truth.
Of a truth. Truly, you are who?
That are the son of Yahweh.
You are the son of Yahweh. So they wasn't worshiping as the Most High. They said, man, you are the son of the Most High. Okay, that's the last section for that. All right, Shaka. All right, so of a truth, you are the son of the Most High. So again, we have that water. We have the faith of the people and crying out to the Most High to deliver them in this hard time. And Peter went through that same thing. Yeah, he had doubt, oh Yahweh delivered him. But he did it with respect and with humility. All right, our people crying out to Moses, oh, you brought us out here to die. You know, real disrespectful about the whole situation, man. All right. All right, so we're gonna real quick. We're gonna send up some Abanawa and send up the short Shemai, and then we're gonna be finished. All right, Amadwa wa Panya Yiraw Shalom. All right, Shemai. Yasha Allah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Akkad, Wahabta, Ath Yahweh, Elohayaka, Wakal Lababka, Wakal Napashka, Wakal Ma'adka. Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Kodash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakwavka, Taba'ah, Ratzaka, Haya, Aisha, Barataza, Kahaya, Bashamayim, Nathan Lanawa, Nakam, Tal Yawan, Masalak Lanawa, Kamwatnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kamwatnawa, Wala'ah, Tabayat Nawa, Banasayawan, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Manrai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahata Pa'arath, Iwalamyam, Basham, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Aman. I said Abanawa and Shemai. What does that say? Okay, so we're going to do what's in the Asheri? The Asheri. Happy are they that dwell in thy house. They will be still praising thee, Salah. Happy is that people that is in such a case. Happy is that people whose Alahaya is Yahweh. I will extol thee, my Alahaya, O King, and I will bless thy name forever and ever. Every day will I bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Great is Yahweh, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall praise thy works to another, and shall declare thy mighty acts. I will speak of the glorious honor of thy majesty, and of thy wondrous works. And men shall speak of the might of thy terrible acts, and I will declare thy greatness. And they shall speak abundantly, and they shall abundantly utter the memory of thy great goodness, and shall sing of thy righteousness. Yahweh is gracious and full of compassion, slow to anger and of great mercy. Yahweh is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works. All thy works shall praise thee, O Yahweh, and thy saints shall bless thee. They shall speak of the glory of thy kingdom, and talk of thy power, to make known to the sons of men his mighty acts, and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Thy kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and thy dominion endureth throughout all generations. Yahweh upholdeth all that fall, and raiseth up all those that be bowed down. The eyes of all wait upon thee, and thou givest them their meat in due season. Thou openest thine hand and satisfiest the desire of every living thing. Yahweh is righteous in all his ways, and holy in all his works. Yahweh is nigh unto all them that call upon him. To all that call upon him in truth, he will fulfill the desire of them that fear him. He also will hear their cry and will save them. Yahweh preserveth all them that love him, but all the wicked will he destroy. My mouth shall speak the praise of Yahweh, and let all flesh bless his holy name forever and ever. But we will bless Yahweh from this time forth and forevermore. Hallelujah. Bashem Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. I might come.
Magwa, Barakwa, Yabarakakam Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Yabarakakam Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Hallelujah.
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 Yani Matah, my name Shabbat. Sister Stan. Magwa, Barakwa, Yashamar, Kam Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Hallelujah.
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 Yani Matah, my Shabbat, dismissed.
All right, so we're going to look on here real quick and see what were the things that people wanted to say to us. All right, Aliyah, Shalom, Aliyah, Garcia, Shalom, Matatyo, Aliyah, Shalom, Shalom, if you're still there. Yisaya, Bikostar, Shalom, Mashiach, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Anthony Lewis, long time no see, Ak, up in the Bergs. Shalom, Shalom, Ak, Shalom. Khalil, Shalom, we called you, we reached out to you, man, returned your call, Khalil. Shakara, Shalom, Shalom. Tazayawan Banloya, Shalom. Yahweh Shai, Shalom, Shalom. A princess Shakara God, Shalom, Mashbaka, Barakatha. Yahweh Bashem Yahshai Barakatha too. Hallelujah, the water. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Joshua, Yabaraka, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Hallelujah. Azariah, Mika Allah. What's going on? Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to you, man. Marakad, Shalom. Aliyah, I was just looking at a video about Telerad this morning. Yeah, I don't believe the hype, man. That ain't Israel. Emiliano bin Adama Beit Teruku. Shalom. All right. Ángel Barrios, hace mucho tiempo que hemos hablado. Shalom, que Yahweh le bendiga. Yolanda Hurt, Shalom. The sister got in touch with you, she said. Yaquad Mose, Shalom, hallelujah. All praise to the Most High. All right, y'all, so that's it for now. All right, Hashem. Not too much else, we can really go over right now. I hope the brothers and sisters that's at the 14th Hebrew Israelite Summit having a good time down there in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Stay in the spirit, walk uprightly. If you brothers down there, get as much contact and leadership information as you can, because we're not gonna bring the children of Israel together by just seeing each other and then leaving without communicating with each other. So let's make sure that we do that. Okay, hallelujah. May Yahweh be with you all in the name of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Shalom Lekam. Remember, Passover is April 6th through April 12th and 13th is the last day. April 6th and 7th is the first day. And we're trying to do Passover Jerusalem 2020. So all the camps, all the cities, all the gates, all the communities, all the congregation, try to send at least one person up to Jerusalem. Inbox me for information so we can get together and celebrate on the feast day like we're supposed to. All right? Shalom Lekam. Hallelujah. At the water.